Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa and the delegation, thank you for being here. We welcome you. Commissioners, CEO, we are ready to begin. Good evening on this day where we are at another milestone of the electoral cycle. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the National Results Operations Center. And I would like to say to you, we have a fairly short program, but should you need comfort rooms, you can go towards the end of the hall and you will get assistance. With that said, I would like us to rise for the rendition of South Africa's prayer, which we call our national anthem. Before it goes on, there's something I never quite get right, to introduce myself to you. My name is Nomsama Suku. I am one of the 5 commissioners of the Electoral Commission, and I will introduce the people that are with me here after this prayer that was going to offer up. Thank you very much. We're still in the middle of the pandemic, even though it has given us some level of reprieve. I know it is a bit warm where we are, but please keep your masks, your nose covered as much as often as possible, so that you remain safe and you keep those around you safe as well. Allow me to introduce the people that are sitting in front of you, to yourselves and to the audience at home, to all of South Africa and the friends of South Africa. I'm going to begin on my right-hand side, your left, with introducing the Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Simon Mabulu. If you can just nod, sir.
Yes,
and next to him, I'd like to introduce the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Glenn Mashinini. Thank you. And next to him, if I may introduce the Vice Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Ms. Janet Love. And next to her, if I may introduce Justice Lay, who is also a commissioner with us here. Thank you. And next to her, if I may introduce Commissioner Mosutu Miepra, also one of the commissioners which completes the full set. Thank you very much. May I please welcome Mr. Simon Mabulu to make his remarks to yourself. See you.
Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Glenn Mashinini, Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa Nhawula, Ministers that are here present, Chairpersons of institutions supporting democracy, Vice Chairperson of the Commission, Ms. Janet Love, members of the Commission, leaders, esteemed leaders of political parties, members of the diplomatic corps, as well as the colleagues, members of staff of the Commission. The election we have just had in its part contours and meandering turns. It was an election characterized by uncertainties at some points in the journey and possibilities at others. At times, it was perceived as an election in doubt, for we never were sure about its safe conduct. It is an election that created diametrically opposed and intense sentiments in the political landscape. The desired linear path to planning was rendered asunder. Yet despite this uneven and oblique path, we have experienced a people involving themselves in the act of electoral engagement. An electoral engagement that avails to the citizenry of the country a moment to reconstitute municipal councils. Indeed, a democratic enterprise that offers an opportunity to participate in a regular election to determine the legislative and executive leadership of our various municipalities. It is a moment of electoral engagement wherein 95 of our fellow compatriots raise their hands and offer themselves as candidates for civic duty to serve on municipal councils. As with any election, not all contestants emerge victorious. We nonetheless honor all those who made themselves available for election, because without such participation, our electoral reality is hollow. to the 10,400 elected councillors, we raise our hands to you in a congratulatory way. To the voters who bestowed trust in your ability to service communities you now represent, you owe them a measure of gratitude. Our proposition is that the best reward you can offer them is selflessness, and service-mindedness towards communities that you now represent. In keeping with our constitutional commitment of being inclusive, our electoral engagement has a social consciousness, and thus alive to the fact that we have amongst us those who are infirm or with impaired mobility. Hence, South Africans in special circumstances were offered an opportunity to cast special votes on the 30th and 31st of October. These special votes served a twin purpose. On the one hand, they enfranchised people in special circumstances, whilst at the same time offering us an opportunity to sharpen the proficiency of our operations ahead of election day. In this electoral encounter, 12 million voters went to 23,148 voting stations around the country and marked ballots, and by so doing expressed their electoral choice. For these voters, the enormity of the act of voting was so pronounced that whatever health risks there may be, that would not deter them from voting. These are compatriots with a deep civic consciousness, for in their minds, there can never be a risk big enough to dissuade them from voting. We thank you for your simple and humble act of voting. Your act of voting serves to fortify electoral engagement in our society. The views of these voters were solicited in a survey by the Human Sciences Research Council. If our electoral democracy is to be enriched, then the views and opinions of the recipients of the electoral service are paramount, bearing in mind that ultimately our electoral enterprise is about people and their concomitant well-being. In the voter satisfaction survey, the Human Sciences Research Council interviewed 12,189 randomly sampled voters in 300 voting stations across the country at different time segments throughout voting day. By acceptable standards, this is a representative sample which enabled us to make generalizations of the whole voter population. 97% of the sampled voters found that voting procedures inside our voting stations were easy to understand, whilst 94% were satisfied with the ballot paper used in the election. In other words, the identifiers used in the ballot design were clear and not confusing to voters. This survey further indicates that 96% was satisfied with the secrecy of the ballot, whilst 93% were satisfied with the safety and security at voting stations, and 84% expressed confidence in the accuracy of the counting and tallying process. Most importantly, 95% experienced the elections as being free and fair. Most importantly, 95% experienced the election as having been free and fair. I thought that deserves an applause. We are glad that this survey found that 93% of voters commended the Commission's efforts to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 at voting stations. On the whole, Voters are saying their lived experience, their lived electoral reality is positive and consistent with their expectations of integrity standards in the voting process. This election was as much about participation as it was about the introduction of digital solutions in the electoral process. The use of the voter management devices catapulted electoral management in our country to new heights. No doubt, operational challenges were encountered. Yet, despite that, 2021 municipal elections were the most technologically advanced ever held in the country. The Commission deployed 30,387 voter management devices, which were centrally connected through an access point network. This digital connection enabled the strengthening of controls in the voting process. Once ballots were issued to the voter, they could not present themselves at another station without detection. The use of these VMDs in the voting stations enabled a live and centrally connected voters' roll. This capability will decisively lay to rest allegations of double voting. With the VMD, possibilities abound. The prospect of building additional engines and reports will enable the real-time monitoring of the quantities of ballot papers issued and on hand at each voting station. This will remedy reports of voting stations running out of ballot papers. Therefore, the introduction of VMDs can only serve to fortify controls and enhance capability to manage the voting process efficiently. The challenges of the moment as we experience them should not cloud our desire to exploit digital technology to better our electoral engagement. We dare not retard the progress we have made. To the members of the Commission, I say thank you for your guidance and understanding. The mandate you are constitutionally charged with is no mean feat. There is increasing complexity in the electoral landscape, but your fortitude in navigating that space has brought us to the point where you are able to declare the election results, and we say thank you to you. It would be a profound error if I did not acknowledge the contribution made by varied elections management practitioners who made this election possible. My colleagues in ESCO, the Management Committee, and all staff of the Commission at all levels have not known sleep since the 3rd of September. We collectively had to put together a registration weekend, opening 23,000 registration stations literally in 2 weeks. We had an option to take the easy route of dispensing with the registration weekend. Yet we decided on an onerous task because it enfranchised our fellow compatriots. As if that was not hard enough, the election timetable activities had to be conducted in 42 days. I say to you, when your country needed you, you answered the call of national duty. Without your selfless application, this electoral engagement of our citizens would not have been possible.
Thank you very much, Cyril. Thank you very much. And especially for accounting on the deficit. I'm sure that one day some smart person is going to find a way of calculating just the amount of years that you use when you run an election. But here we are standing, we are smiling, and that negative energy that we feel, we always try and keep behind the blue curtain. Thank you very much, CEO. I'd like you to give him this is just about the only time when you can give the CEO. I know he's blushing, but never mind. We can figure that out in the election house. At this point in time, I'd like to invite the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mr. Glenn Mashinini, to give his report, his words to the country and to the friends of the country. Chairperson?
Thank you, Program Director, Mr. Masuku. It's indeed a very difficult task and before all of you in the nation and give account of the enormous responsibility that is entrusted in this team of commissioners for this nation. Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, Speaker of Parliament, Madam Abdullah, all ministers present and members of the Cabinet Interministerial Committee on Elections present here, Deputy Ministers, Director Generals, heads of our state institutions, and in particular, heads of the security cluster, honorable leaders and representatives of all political parties and contestants present here, representatives of the UNDP, chairpersons of all Chapter 9, 10 and 10 institutions with us, members of the diplomatic corps present here, our esteemed domestic and continental observers that are with us, the leaders of the House of Traditional Leaders, and all the NGOs and faith-based organizations present here with us, my fellow commissioners, the Vice Chair, Janet Love, Commissioner Miepia, Judge Pillay, and Dr. Masuku, our Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Mamabulo, and his EXCO, and his senior managers, and all our provincial electoral officers throughout the country, members of the staff of the Electoral Commission, members of the Fourth Estate Media, but also the founder, commissioner, and subsequently the former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Brigadier Bam, who has managed to come and raise us. I think we should take a minute and give an applause. His Excellency, President of the Republic of South Africa, fellow compatriots, the 2021 municipal elections, as already we've received the account from our CEO, indeed tested us as a nation in many ways. The Electoral Commission itself, political parties, independent candidates, the voters, were all faced with a number of challenges during these elections. Just to name but a few. Among them is has taken place under the COVID pandemic. The truncated time frame that the elections had to be conducted instead of 86 prescribed days and having to do it in 42 days. The bad weather, which is still threatening us even today, our power interruptions, and logistics challenges and glitches that we face. But despite all of these challenges, esteemed guests, we achieved our innovative objectives of taking our electoral system to the next level of automation through the introduction of the VMD device, and which has put paid to the possibility that there could ever be allegations of double voting, and therefore discrediting the credibility of the election. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the major accomplishment that we have done. The fact that we are here today, having delivered these elections, is an achievement that we as a nation should be proud of. Our thriving, vibrant and maturing constitutional democracy has indeed withstood the test thrown at it during these elections. The Commission, this preeminent independent electoral institution, is proud that it is still flying high the banner of electoral integrity, excellence, as well as free and fair elections. And for that, we are indebted and grateful to all our staff members throughout the country and many South Africans who work in the various roles throughout the country. The interministerial committee that was set up by the cabinet to provide all the support of the various state institutions, agencies, including the security cluster, and the political contestants that we involve, as well as all our social partners that we involved. That's who we are indebted to. Distinguished guests, in terms of the Section 190 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the mandate of the Commission is to compile and maintain a voters' roll. It is to manage elections of national, provincial, and municipal legislative bodies, as well as to ensure that those elections are indeed free and fair, and ultimately to declare the results of those elections, which is the purpose of us gathering here today. It is therefore my singular honor to stand before you and announce the results of these elections, which are determined in terms of Section 64(1)(b) of the Municipal Electoral Act. And in that, the Commission's role is to satisfy itself that conditions for free and fair elections were met in all the these elections. And among the factors which the Commission must consider in declaring an election free and fair is whether the election regulations, laws, and agreed processes and procedures are approved. And further, to make sure where irregularities and breaches did occur, what impact this has on the outcomes of the elections. We, as the Commission, are satisfied that bar a few glitches or incidences for which we deeply apologize, we have delivered quality elections. The Commission is here to report that our unique political party liaison committee system is in fact very effective and working. It is through this system that we were able to catch an electoral officer who has transgressed our electoral laws by stuffing ballots into a box. And it is because of the vigilance of the party agents and members of the PLC that the stuffed ballot box, as well as the mishandling of used ballot boxes, were exposed. We also wish to report that the Commission received and cleared 290 objections after investigations and its deliberations. The Commission is pleased to announce that it has satisfied itself that the conditions for free and fair elections were met and that the results for 213 councils are declared as final. And distinguished guests, there were 26.1 million voters registered for these elections. Approximately 370,000 were registered in the pre-approved MEC7 list. A total of 12.3 million South Africans voted in these elections. And it is my honor once again to provide the country with the national overview of the outcome of these elections. In terms of the 213 municipalities that were contested, the African National Congress achieved a majority of 161 municipalities. And the Democratic Alliance achieved a majority of 13 municipalities. And the Inkatha Freedom Party achieved a majority in 10 municipalities. And in 66 municipalities, no party achieved a majority, which are now deemed as hung councils. And in the 8 contested metropolitan councils, the top 3 parties are in the Buffalo City, the ANC with 59.3%, and the DA with 19.52%. And the EFF with 12.6%. And we proceed to the city of Cape Town. The city of Cape Town, the DA got 58.2%. And the ANC got 18.63%. The EFF got 4.13%. Ekurhuleni, the ANC got 38.19%. and the DA got 28.72%, and the EFF got 13.57%. In the eThekwini municipality, the ANC got 42.02%, the DA got 25.62%, and the EFF got 48%. And in the city of Johannesburg, the ANC got 33.6%, the DA got 26.47%, and Action SA got 16.05%. Proceeding to Mangaung, the ANC got 50.63%, the DA got 25.73%, the EFF got 11.31%. And in Nelson Mandela Bay, the DA got 39.92%, the ANC got 39.43%, and the EFF got 6.4%. And in the city of Tshwane, the ANC got 34.31%, the DA got 32.34%, and the EFF got 10.62%. In conclusion, we congratulate the 10,461 councillors who have won the right to serve our people. To them, we remind them of the words of wisdom from the great Pan-Africanist revolutionary and thinker, Amilcar Cabral, who said, I quote, "Always bear in mind that the people are not fighting for ideas, for things in anyone's head. They are fighting to win material benefits, to live better and in peace, to see their lives go forward, to guarantee the future of their children," of course. We urge them to go out and make the lives of our people better. Go out and ensure that our communities develop and live in peace. Go out and, through your honest and ethical work, guarantee the future of our children. We are proud to proclaim to the world that we are still flying high the banner of electoral integrity, excellence, free and fair election in our country. Through these elections, we have sent a resounding message to the world at large that we South Africans remain a beacon of preeminence in the conduct of electoral democracy. And I dare even say I improves currency tomorrow. It is there my singular honor to hereby declare the 2021 municipal elections concluded as free and fair. I thank you.
Municipal elections. On 1 November, every voice came together in solidarity to shape our communities. That's why the Electoral Commission would like to say thank you to all South Africans that made time to make their voices heard. Every voice together.
Director, Chairperson of the IEC, Commissioner Grand Mashiriri, Deputy Chairperson of the IEC, Ms. Janet Love, the other IEC commissioners, Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Sai Mamabolo, and your ex-co-members, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakwe, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Lechisa Senoni, members of the judiciary who are here with us, leaders of Chapter 9 institutions, traditional leaders also here with us, and as previously stated, Ms. Brigadier Bam, leaders of political parties, members of the diplomatic corps, and fellow South Africans. In a month's time, we will mark 25 years since the signing into law of our democratic constitution. Its founding values of democracy, human dignity, the advancement of human rights and the achievement of equality have been our guide for a quarter of a century. Tonight, we mark another milestone in the advancement of our democracy. These local government elections were conducted and contested by a record 325 political parties and nearly 95,000 candidates, of whom over 1,500 were independent candidates. In the run-up to the election day, we have seen images of parties and candidates everywhere. The billboards of our country, street polls, social media, all making a case for why they should get the vote of the people of South Africa. This is a sign that multi-party politics is flourishing in our country, South Africa, and that any South African, and indeed everyone, has an equal chance and opportunity to run for public office. This enriches our democracy and in many ways also enriches us as a people. It also advances openness and transparency. It affirms that we are a diverse and tolerant society. It affirms the principle that leaders must be chosen by the people and that leaders should also be accountable to the people who choose them. I would like, on behalf of the people of South Africa, to thank the 12 million South Africans who cast their ballots in this election. By performing this important civic duty, you have contributed to strengthening and consolidating our democracy. And I'd like to congratulate all South Africans for holding an election that was peaceful, free and fair. It's also confirmed by our Independent Electoral Commission. sure, Chairperson Mashini, what you have declared as free and fair election has in many ways also been confirmed by the many observers who were observing our election, both here and abroad, through various means, virtual and otherwise. Through the participation of our people in this election, we can definitely say that the people have spoken, and we thank South Africans for speaking out through this election. Those in whom the people have placed their trust, the elected councillors, now need to get down to work. Over the past few weeks, we have all spent time with South Africans from all walks of life, meeting them in the streets and being invited into their homes, meeting in the pathways of our villages, in transport modes and vehicles. They told us about their needs for houses, of the frustration of electricity cuts, of feeling unsafe because of crime, and also of being despondent after years of not working. At the same time, many have also told us about some of the good work that municipalities, supported by dedicated councillors, are doing in their communities. They've also told us of infrastructure that has been built in the poorest areas and also of essential services that were being delivered. They also gave us advice on how we can do things a lot better. Listening to them, I was reminded how important it is that those in positions of responsibility enjoy the confidence of the people of South Africa. The people of South Africa want their lives improved. They want better services. They want their representatives to be responsive and also to be accountable. They want to live in a better South Africa with equal opportunity, where their rights are realized and where they are treated with dignity and respect. Local government must be a force for good, for development and for progress. If we are to make this a new and better era, we as leaders must put aside our differences and work together in a spirit of partnership and common purpose. I'd like to repeat that. I would like to repeat this because the manner in which our people spoke should be indicative of their will and wish to have us as leaders working together. I want to repeat it and say once again, if we are to make this a new and better era, we as leaders must put aside our differences and work together in a spirit of partnership, cooperation, of collaboration, and common purpose in the interest of the people of South Africa. At the end of the day, my fellow compatriots, we all want the same thing, to better the lives of the South African people. We need to strengthen the trust between citizens and elected representatives through competence, through integrity, performance, and delivery. Public representatives need to be more visible. They also need to be more active in our communities. They need to focus on implementation and make the people of South Africa partners in development and in bettering their lives. Above all, they need to listen to the communities that they serve. I would like to thank all those people who have contributed to the success of the 2021 local government election. I want to thank the commissioners, and I thank them on behalf of the people of our country, the commissioners who are seated here. And in fact, I do think we should give them a standing ovation for the wonderful work that they did. Now, you don't need to stand up. You sit down. We are giving you a standing ovation. Sit down. Thank you. As the election was proceeding, I kept imagining how difficult your task was. That you could organize an event on one day where more than 12 million people participated within a set number of hours. And to be able to do so without many glitches. And even as some election box or ballot box disappeared, you've been transparent enough to speak about it publicly and to say, this is what we're going to do. I truly thank you. I don't know how you do it, but we thank you for all the work that you have done. I also want to thank the staff of the IEC who worked tirelessly, yes, without sleep for hours and hours and days, but who work behind the scenes, people that we never get to see. I'd like to thank them because once again they conducted themselves with professionalism and impartiality. I want to thank the South African Police Service and the South African National Defence Force for ensuring the safety of voters and the integrity of the election process. I also would like to thank the staff of the Department of Home Affairs for processing voters and enabling them to have the correct documentation on voting day. And yes, I would like to thank all the political parties and candidates who stood in this election for their conduct, for their discipline, and their commitment to the people of South Africa. And yes, you too, as political parties, deserve an applause. Please applaud yourself. I would also like to thank the media. The media were in many ways the heroes and heroines of this election process. For they kept us informed of everything that was happening throughout the election process. Sometimes the media never gets thanked for everything that they write, both wonderful and horrible, about many of us. We never thank you, and today I'd like to thank you for the good, the bad, and the ugly that you wrote about us. It but he also wrote about me. Through your efforts, you were able to keep us all informed, both television, radio, social media, and print. Last week in Cape Town, I received a letter from a young woman called Ruby. And she wrote, "President, I have faith in the leaders of South Africa. I believe that South Africa can take her rightful place in the world and that the dreams of our great leaders can be realized." Close quote. Very young lady. In these difficult times, these words from a young South African truly encourage me. They should encourage all of us. We owe it to Ruby and to the millions of South Africans who dream of a better South Africa to do no less than our very best. We owe it to the millions of South Africans who voted in these elections to bring about the change that they are asking for. Let us turn the promises that we made
that this mandate doubtless has shown you, and that you continue to grow that trust. To our organization and to our Chief Electoral Officer, huge thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Vice Chairperson. And whilst we are doing the thank yous, I'd also like to say thank you to Advocate Lakula, who is in our midst. I happened to see her when I'm seeing her. I'm trying to look at this side so that I can see her standing. It's lovely to have you. Thank you. This brings us to the end of our formal program, and please bear with us. Because of COVID, so that we maintain social distancing, I'm going to ask you to be patient and remain in this rather warm room for a little bit longer, whilst I ask the President and his entourage to take leave of us. Mr. President? From everything to being the wonderful audience that you always are, I thank you very much. I am really out. Take care. I invite Kate to help you navigate your exit and to go to the real fun part. Take care. Until next time. Bye-bye.